Hey buddy, I know you had a busy weekend so you missed a couple games, so I'm going to fill you in real quick. The Bears and the Seahawks game was an ugly punt-a-palooza with 18 punts across both teams, where the Bears punter Trenton is still showing he is super solid, and Michael Dixon might end up this year with over 200 punts as the rest of his team for the Seahawks is consistently struggling, and even other people on his own unit are starting to let him down, so they need him more than ever, and there's still a ton of work that needs to be done for the Seahawks if they want to be any amount of successful this year, but in reality they might just be taking. For the Pats versus the Panthers games, Jake Julian was released, which was expected, leaving Jake Bailey as their only punter on roster, and the field goal competition's a little weird because the tryout guy, Vizcano, was given two 50-plus yarders and he missed one from 53, and I'm not sure how well this will affect his situation when the other guy won 100% but from under 30 yards. Also, the Patriots unit is looking as strong as always, and there's not really much going on with the Panthers. In the Packers-Saints game, Blake Gillikin is on a very strong all-pro run from just the preseason games, this game going 59 yards on his average with a humongous 81-yard boot to go with it. But this whole game got a video of its own for Blake Gillikin, so check that out if you want. On another note, Romo played football again, but this time it's Jay Parker Romo. Instead of failing to take his team to the Super Bowl like Tony, he failed to get it to the uprights, missing from 35, which is okay because it's not like they're realistically going to unseat Will Lutz, who locked in a 59-yard field goal in the preseason, so his spot is pretty well kept up. The Packers also released Burkich, who put the ball into a wrong zip code last week, and replaced him with Ramiz Ahmed, who was a USFL stud and converted on both of his attempts this weekend. The Rams released Dicker the kicker, leaving Dixon the Kickson in charge to handle the punting duties, and Matt Gay handling all the kicking duties. And I'm starting to see a very pride-friendly theme forming here in the special teams room for the Los Angeles Rams. Cameron Johnson continued to punt at an extremely high level for the Texans, and I think he could be a runner for an all-pro selection this year if he keeps this momentum rolling into the season. The Bills and Broncos game was an absolute slaughtering, so we really only got to see one punt out of Matt Hack. The Broncos special teams unit hummed along smoothly despite Broncos punter Sam Martin being out of the game due to an injury sustained in the warm-up for the game, with McMinnis going smooth 3 for 3 and Corliss Waitman putting up a respectable 50-yard average. The kicking battle stayed warm in Detroit, with Seibert going 2 for 3, only missing 1 from 55. Both punters put on a show with their collective 6 total punts, both averaging over 50 yards a punt, which is exactly what we like to see here on the Isaac Punts channel. Nothing new from the Commanders or Chiefs, but Tommy Townsend did hit this beaut that found its way out of bounds inside the 10, so you can never be mad about that. The Dolphins and Raiders game gave us our first look at Thomas Morstead for the season, and he delivers by pinning the Raiders inside their own 10-yard line. AJ Cole follows up with another punt inside the 10 that the Dolphins somehow find a way to pull a safety out of in that drive. Aside from that, Sanders missed a game winner, bringing the total game-winning field goals miss counter up to 2 for the preseason. The Steelers and Jaguars are in a bit of a predicament. The Steelers are either continuing to try out Wake Forest kicker Skiba or just helping him get some game film as he connects on a 38, while Chris Boswell misses from 53. Jaguars kicker Santoso continues to struggle, going 50% on 4 kicks, missing from 51, and a game-losing 57-yarder, bringing the missed game winner count up to 3. At least Cook executed well, which is expected because he's a stud, and after putting the ball on the 2-yard line, he forced a safety number 2 of the weekend, which was a bit unexpected, but a welcome surprise to be sure. Mitch Wisnowski must have heard me call his punts mid last week because he put on his big boot shoes against the Vikings, averaging over 50 yards of punt, and had this punt down brilliantly on the 1-yard line. We also got our best competition yet between Ryan Wright and Jordan Berry, where they both got a bulk amount of punts. This was a close call, but I think it slightly leans towards Ryan Wright's favor, but we'll have to see how it plays out because I doubt they'll make any decisions off this close game between the two of them. The Bucs-Titan game got us a great desperation return where somebody actually takes a punt out of the end zone because they want to prove that they're a playmaker and they want to make it on the roster, and honestly, I think it works for them. This was a great return, and I'd give them a spot on the team. The Bucs did struggle with giving up big returns, so that needs to be hammered out before the season starts. On the flip side, Ryan Stonehouse ran for a first down, showing a surprising upside that hasn't been seen out of him before. Aside from that one play, I'd be inclined to believe that the starter scale is shifting back towards Brett Kernis. Stonehouse struggled to keep the ball out of the end zone or put it inside the 10. The Chargers-Cowboys game didn't really give us much in the kicking department despite there being 2 kicking battles going on. It is worth noting that Mahar's 1 missed field goal for the boys came at a 61 whopping yards out, which falls in the realm of acceptable misses, so I'm not sure how this will affect their valuation of him. The real story out of this game, though, is when USFL stud Kevontae Turpin ran back 2 kicks for touchdowns, which is unacceptable even for the Chargers, who have historically been hit or miss on special teams, and their units need to be great so Herbert can do his thing. For the Browns-Eagles game, we finally get to see the Browns' 4th-round pick Cade York have his moment in the spotlight, getting 3 field goals and connecting on 2 of them, only missing from 55, which bounced off the right upright. They would lose this game by 1 point, but they also gave up plenty of opportunities to win the game by turning the ball over on downs 3 times in the fourth quarter alone. The Bengals finally unleashed Drew Chrisman, who was doing a good job of getting the ball downfield, averaging 48.3 yards a punt, but not the best job keeping it downfield, netting just 38 of those yards on average. They also tested McPherson's leg, pushing him back to 58 yards, but he fell just slightly, to the left, but made 3 of his other kicks, so he's still looking very, very solid for the Bengals. A Graham Gano concussion left Jamie Gillen in charge of the kicking duties for the rest of the game, and he did a good enough job that if the Giants ever run into a similar issue during a regular season game, they know they have a very solid Mayday option if that need be. The Bird Battle gave us a pure George Stout teach tape on how to punt a football, going 3 for 3 inside the 20, 0 return yards, 2 inside the 5, 2 of 50 or more yards, and pretty much any other stat you want, you can put in here. He could not be stopped and even got to kick an extra point, but what's more impressive is the hold by Justin Tucker, proving more than he's just the best kicker to ever grace football. The Cardinals punting battle is still tight, but more impressively, Matt Prater hit a field goal that looked like it was going to miss both sides of the uprights while ultimately slicing wide to the left. The only battle being hosted by the Jets right now is a kicking battle between Pinheiro and Zerline, but for the second rig, Zerline gets the lone single field goal, and so far nobody has missed. It was a pretty evenly tied up bout, but that's all you missed this week, so I hope you're having a good one. I'll see you next week in case you missed something else.